right. Welcome to HISadvocates.tv. My name is Kelby Smith. I think this is episode 326, and this is an introduction. It's a very, very, very special show for me. I have been long awaiting the ability to help the world, not just HISadvocates members or state citizens, but to help the entire world. And, you know, I seriously just want to ask you guys a few questions because this is going to be a game changer. Have you guys ever faced a situation where you felt overwhelmed by a legal system? Something as simple as a ticket or a court battle or we all have. I know many of my members have come to us with embattled situations. The number one thing is foreclosure. And I'm about to introduce you guys to two gentlemen that I have known going on 10 years, 12 years on one of them. And their record for me speaks volumes. Their record and what they know is what I would love for you to know. And the next few months with what we roll out and introduce, we are going to stop the system in its tracks, and they're going to be looking and going, what is going on? Because we're going to teach you the inside way to approach controversy. This is critical thinking. This is next level stuff. I am proud to introduce these guys to you, Angelo and Rodney. One is active duty law. He's still a law enforcement officer. And the other is a researcher beyond anybody. When I have people come to my ministry, my website, and ask for help, these are the first guys that I refer them to engage in how to handle controversy. And so we're going to bring them on and we're just going to talk shop and we're going to show you the qualifications of what you need to be doing yourself to mitigate controversy, whether that's a ticket, a court issue, even a divorce, whatever's going on. Things happen in our lives. And these two gentlemen are about to show you a game-changing opportunity. So don't stop playing this video. Watch this video all the way through. Like, subscribe, follow. And before I bring them on, we're going to have a QR code in our next videos. But for now, go to your phone and download HISadvocates.tv. There's two apps currently. One is HISadvocates and the other is HISadvocates.tv. We're trying to get rid of the first. So find the .tv behind HISadvocates and make sure you download it to your phone. And so that when we go live, you're able to get a push notification. It'll drop in your dealio, and you can come to HISadvocates.tv or YouTube or the like and watch us when we go live. These are going to be critical times because I'm telling you right now, I just posted a video and we're censored. We're censored here. We're censored there. This is why we are now on Roku, Amazon Fire, Android TV, Google TV, Apple TV, LG TV, Samsung TVs, soon to be Vizio. We're working on getting out to the world. And to be frank, this new system and structure of retraining your mind and how you can help yourself with the onslaught of coming events. I'm proud to introduce Angelo and Rodney. Welcome, gentlemen. Super happy to finally get to this moment with you guys. This has been big. We have been talking for months on this, on different elements of what to do, how to do it, how to get this out to the world. Straight up, do you guys mind if I ask some questions just to kind of break the ice and help people to get to know you a little better?
Go ahead. How you doing, Kelby? That's fine.
I'm good, Angelo. Thank you for asking.
Kelby, yeah, thanks for having me.
Rodney, you're a peace officer.
Yes.
You're truly a peace officer, and that's a big statement from me. because otherwise it's just a policy enforcement officer. What was it? Take me back to that moment that in your life was the game changer where you realize you need to learn what you're about to try to teach everybody else.
I would say my opening and realization to this was prior to law enforcement. When I got into I went to the police academy back in 2000. So I've been on 23 years now. But right prior to that, in the beginning of 2000, I was in the United States Air Force, and I got deployed over to Kuwait and a base called Ali Al Salim. And I just started to see the destruction and everything that happened over there. And I just started to ask a lot of questions like, what the hell are we even over here for? And that just planted that seed in my head at that point in time. And, just sitting in the different palaces, just seeing the destruction. It was a place that I could see out in the desert where they just blew everybody up. And I couldn't understand why we were doing that. The people on the land didn't want us there, but we were there. So that really resonated with me. And then I saw, as soon as I left there, I think it was June of 2000, a couple of months later, I found myself in the police academy. So I just used to always ask questions. Grew up in a family of law enforcement, but would always just start to ask questions and never thought I was doing anything wrong. I thought everything that I was doing was 100% correct, 100% right. This is all my family ever knew. All my brothers I have several brothers in law enforcement as well. And always just, this is what we are. This is how we handle things. And one day it just comes up that we have an oath of office. And this came really big in about 2008, that we have an oath of office. And I started looking into this. And I realized it's to the Constitution. And then the main thing that bothered me the most was I realized out of everything we learned, we swore to something, but that was the one thing that was never taught to us. And then it just started to unwind from there. I started to say, well, why would I not be taught what I necessarily had swore to? Then you just start to take a look at the whole system from there. And you start to ask questions. And once I start to ask questions, then I no longer was on the righteous side. They did everything they could to get rid of me. So that was a start point. I was terminated, got reinstated. We'll go into that later, but that's where it all started for me at that point in time.
So for the record, you and I knew each other through a previous seminar, and you were able to speak there and talk. And I watched you as a law enforcement officer fighting for his job and righteousness. I watched you win. And for me, I was kind of taken back by that because I wasn't used to seeing, first and foremost, these things happening. Secondly, somebody fighting so hard against the very system in which he worked with and entrusted his life and career and family to. And then they turned on you, and you didn't take it laying down. You stood up and you went to battle, and you won. And after 18 months, I watched you get reinstated, and I watched you get all that back pay, and I watched everything turn. And brother, kudos to you. And so that was a starting point for me to kind of see people really engaged in battles that I didn't really know existed other than foreclosures and stuff like that. But I always thought we had a great governing body and a great system of checks, and we really don't. And so you are a true hero. And I say that very respectfully. You have fought the good fight, and you are still in it, and you are fighting for the people. And I've watched what you fought over the last several years. And I'll let you explain that later. Hey, Angelo, 2 decades in legal research, a lot of firsthand litigation. What still surprises you about the legal system?
I don't think I have anything that surprises me anymore. You see it all, really. And when I say the surprises, is just the level of corruption, the level of I don't say disrespect, but just no compassion in the legal system. You have attorneys with a monopoly on this system, and the way that you get treated, it's like we're forced to deal with things that we shouldn't have to. And if you have a group of people that's charged with taking care of you or taking care of those issues or helping you with those issues, and they don't help, it's frustrating. It can be frustrating. So to answer that question, long short, not too much really surprising me at this point.
Okay. Back to you, Rodney. Being a police officer, has that influenced you at all to approaching, legal challenges personally?
Well, like Kelby, I'll give you a little bit of a background, just like even where the legal challenges really started for me, and when I started to even question what was going on. And I think that's about the time where we shortly met thereafter, because what was disclosed to me, I had just went to a seminar, and the seminar was to teach people about the Constitution. And now it's been revealed to me that the FBI was there that day watching, the parking lot. They had a license plate reader. It came back to my department. Voila. Then all of a sudden the department had put a bogus investigation against me to get rid of me. And so you kind of see the way the structure and the system works. Before that, I'm a union member. I was the treasurer of the union on the board of directors. I'm shaking hands with the mayor, the city attorneys. I'm one of the boys. I see all the way the politics is working behind the scenes, so I can't go, I just don't go into detail where I work at, but it's one of the biggest agencies or one of the biggest cities around. So you see the politic and you see the way it works. And then you just start to ask questions per se. And then they got rid of me like a cancer. In the specific time I remember, so pretty much they put a bogus investigation against me while I was off duty and make a claim that I did chase somebody down the street with a gun. Well, during this incident, the sheriff is there, no such claim about anything. And pretty much it was a neighbor that I had a lawsuit against. And so he's trying to get out of the judgment. So he's making up a bogus story. But they take this story and just terminate my employment. No crime report, no nothing, but they say you did it. So you have the sheriff's department on scene saying nothing of the kind was even reported to us. We were there. But then my department comes in and says, no, we don't rely upon the sheriff. They must have missed it. And then they find wrongdoing everything, and I'm terminated. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me, right? So the first thing that I saw with this, I sit down with the UN attorneys. So now, in the meantime, I've been talking about the Constitution, how we're doing things wrong in the department, how I see things that are incongruent with the Constitution that we're doing physically at work, and I'm asking for explanations. And I can't see it. So, and I know a lot of this, Angelo can really break it down for you later, but I would just simply say, okay, well, if somebody has to have due process to take their property, how can I just walk up and impound a car? Because I'm impounding them all day. Where's due process? So, and then people are saying, well, the Constitution doesn't apply, and that's an old document, and you hear all these stories, but so I'm realizing we're law enforcement, but nobody knows the law, right? Everybody around me don't know the law. Not a single person around me knows their oath of office and what they swore to. I asked over 300 police officers. Nobody knows what it is. Then I'm on the union. I do an audit. We find 80% of the department has no oath of office on file. Why? Because the court clerk was just shredding them, right? So when we start doing all this stuff, and then we start making all these changes within the department, now they're upset because I'm like, where's the oath? You guys have to have this here. This is, you guys nothing's in compliance in the department.
It's in the state constitution. It's in the
everywhere.
Registry. It's everywhere.
Everywhere. We had to take it all away. And when we talk about administrative, and when we talk about administrative procedures, that's when I start to learn, because we had to take the department all the way where we were going to file an unfair labor practice, because you had 80% of the department with no oath on file. You know what I'm saying? And they're running around the street right now. And so it was really embarrassing for them. So, but when I raised all this and I knew they wanted to eliminate me. So when I go in for, it's called a Scully hearing and or Skelly. And you go in for a Skelly hearing. So that's when they recommend termination. So they're about to terminate me for allegedly chasing somebody down the street. They have no crime report, no nothing. And I was off duty, but I'm getting terminated for this. So I'm like, this is an entire setup. So I get to the union attorneys and he's like, okay, we meet up right before my Skelly hearing. And that's where you go to the chief and you appeal it right before you're about to get terminated. And he meets me. He says, hey, Rodney, I got this, man. I got you. So he's like, just be quiet and I'll do all the talking to the chief. So we get there and all of a sudden I know it's the city attorney. Everybody's there. So that I already know. I'm like, okay, I'm getting axed. There's no way they're axing me because they bring they have everybody there. Like people, all the HR. Normally it's like one HR person, the chief. They got city attorneys, everybody there. Right. So now he goes in there and the first thing he says is, he says, hey, he says, I'm ex highway patrol. And he says, I'm ex highway patrol, but now I'm an attorney. And I talked to Mr. Rouzan and he's totally fallen out of line. And, but I can mentor him. And if we can just give him a chance, please just spare his job. And, he has a wife and kids and please spare his job and just have mercy on him. And I'm like, what the, I'm standing there like, I want to slap this guy across the like, that's not my defense. Like, what are you doing? So, and that's it. And I get out of there and I was so angry that that's what he stated as my defense, because the reality was they had no reason to fire me in the first place. So if you don't have no reason to fire me, y'all go ahead and fire him. We about to hit y'all. That's what should have been my argument. So the very next day, what I did was, obviously, I didn't know much. I was meeting I was meeting people. They were at least fighters. And we was just meeting at various libraries, and these are just fighters who are trying to learn the legal system to some extent. And I'm like, okay, I'm just fire these attorneys, and I'm gonna represent myself because nobody can do this better than myself. And I get in there, and you just start working through the process. And then I says, I know the best way to protect yourself. I said, I got to make this public. So I go to the Civil Service Commission, and I waive all my peace officer Bill of Rights to privacy. And I said, I need an open hearing. I need mine in City Hall, and I need at least 100 people seats available. So then I think at one of the seminars, that's where I met you, Kelby, and I just tell everybody and we get people to come, and now we got eyes on them. And now and then I'm cross-examining these guys and eventually I end up beating them and getting reinstated. That was back in 2012. So that's just one of the examples of the cases right there that I would say,
Well, to me, that was an amazing moment because I was watching them go after one of their own, and I was impressed because I thought you knew what you were doing, and I thought you knew the elements of rules and procedures, and you were just learning at that time, and now you're further along.
Yeah. Something I really like to point to, and at that point in time where I was at, and I got labeled as what they call a sovereign citizen. I'm pretty sure a lot of the callers know what that is. And that's because of, I knew what my rights were, making certain arguments.
Right.
And constitutional arguments. But that was one thing that I really saw, and you're going to see here where Angelo, where he zeroed me in. Right when we got past the process with the city, I dealt with every scenario you can think of, from foreclosure to every single thing. Been in court for everything. I've sued the local sheriff's department, and they got them to settle in one of the cases, and one they got on unqualified immunity. So we've been through so many different scenarios, but it's like when Angelo zeroed me in, you have to know, you got to know the Constitution and everything else, but you have to understand the system in itself. And it's just like the controversy, and it depends on what the claim is. Maybe the Constitution doesn't even apply. I remember going to my department making arguments, well, you guys are violating my Constitution. And I want to file a complaint because the other sergeants violate my constitutional rights because they're doing this. And he just laughed at me. He said, Rodney, I don't enforce Constitution. He raised the policy. He said, I only enforce the policy. So the policy is always going to be in compliance with the Constitution, because there's a severability clause in policy that anything that is unconstitutional or not in line with state or federal law is null and void. So it's going to be in compliance, but you got to find the section in policy. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be able to talk to these people in their language. Are you talking in terms of that contract, whatever's in front of you? And once you kind of like start to break that down and you break down the fundamentals of how this system is put together.
Okay, you kind of cut out a little bit. I didn't get that last word.
Yeah, that's how you get resolution. I'm sorry, I had got an incoming call, but that's how you get resolution.
Gotcha. Hey, quickly, tell me how either one of you guys, how you two met. Like, what point then did you think, how'd you guys meet? Was it love at first sight?
Well, hey, Angelo, you want to tell him? You want me to tell him?
you can run it down.
Well, what I knew was it was right after I think my I had won the case against the city, so I had got reinstated. This is in 2012. I had got reinstated, but at the same time when I was getting reinstated, I had two cases running parallel in the federal courts. So they were Title 42 1983s against the sheriff's department in two separate jurisdictions. And so I was able to get past, you have the complaint phase and then you have the demur phase. And I was able to get past the complaint and demur phase. And then we were all the way into depositions. And so I'm navigating my way through the court system. And then the other attorney comes up to me and he says, we about to MSJ you. And and I was like, MSJ? And I'm looking at my buddy like, MSJ? And he starts laughing. And he's like, y'all don't even know what an MSJ? He's like, I'm going to dust y'all off in a couple of days. So I was like, oh, shit, right? Man, I'm like, oh, man. So I know half the game and I'm reading these guides, but I'm like, man, I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm messing around, but I'm a fighter. I'm always a fighter, and I was always looking for the right path. So then I meet Angelo. It's a mutual friend. He's coming to he had saw me at one of the seminars, and he's like, you need to meet this brother. And I'm like, oh man, I done met 100 people trying to tell me what's going on. I know what's going on. I don't want to meet another person. But we meet up at that point, and we right away. I also had another case. It's crazy. I had a third case going where I had actually sued, and it was my neighbor. When I got terminated, I actually sued my neighbor for defamation of character because they were calling, making false claims against me and everything else.
Right.
And this was one of the biggest learning lessons that I learned when you don't know what you're doing and you're playing with this stuff, right? It's nothing to be played with, and you kind of have to understand what you're doing. So I go after my neighbor, and he had made some bad claims, and it cost me to lose my job, which I had got reinstated for. But in the meantime, I'm just going after him, and I'm reading these different books by Nolo, and like Nolo has these books, How to Sue Somebody, and I'm putting these templates together, suing people, but not understanding exactly the fundamentals of what happened. So I sue my neighbor, and then they all of a sudden they get an attorney and they file this thing called a slap motion. And I'm like, oh snap! No, slap motion. If you lose it, you have to pay the attorney fees and your case is out. Mm-hmm. And the first thing, they bring the slap motion way past the statute time, but the attorney pops in and the judge is wink, wink, gives it to him. Now they got the slap down. They flip it on me. Now I owe my neighbor $10,000.
Oh my gosh,
bro! That was one of those times that you like, right now. What happened was Angelo had jumped in. I met Angelo right at the day before the opposition was due. We jumped in, but it was already too late. And I didn't know how to, the affidavit. It was just a mess, but we met the day before and but he showed me how to oppose it. And he was the first one. I was like, dang, this dude knows how to write the paper. And then, so he know how to write the paper. I'm like, oh man. So then, even though we lost the slap right there, then we go over into the federal case, and Angelo tightens up my argument. He's like, hey, Rodney, let's zero in your compass right here. So then both sheriffs filed at MSJ, and then bam, we right back, and they're like, oh, snap, right? So then we get past the MSJ. So one of the MSJs, for one of them, we get past it, right? So we know how to oppose it. Now we have 4 counts, I believe, and we get past it. So now we're in trial, getting ready to go to trial. And then the city settles, or the county settles. In the other one, it was a bogus ruling, but they get out on qualified immunity. But I still say, even with qualified immunity, they still was wrong. That's just and that's a technicality. And but without going into the merits of that, but that's where we just start to understand. That's where we start to fight, and then that's where it was a process and procedure that I saw. That through this process, it was we called it taking court to the streets. So
I like that term. I like that term a lot.
Yeah, and we took court to the streets, and I seen this process, and I'm like, it's like administrative process. I was like, whoa, that works, right? And it's actually mirroring the court system. Like when you go into court, you bring a motion, and then you have to bring like a supporting affidavit and evidence, and it actually mirrors that process. And I start to see it because that's the way you resolve controversy. If I have a problem with you, I have a problem with my neighbor, I can go talk to him, or I can write him a letter. You see what I'm saying? The same thing. And then we set up the controversy. And then if I can't resolve it, then we go to the superior court. But you don't go, Judge Judy's going to ask you that. Did you pay the neighbor, or did you ask him for the money? That's the thing. I think when you take it to small claims, it says, did you ask the other guy for the money? And then you want to be the organized guy. If I'm doing whatever, I got a whole stack right here, Your Honor. Now, who you think is going to win that case? The judge is only there for enforcement at the end, or if you need enforcement. You see what I'm saying? If you can control that guy, or not control him, as long as you know what the rules are, you got to learn. We're going to have to learn these rules like we understand the NBA rules. And if you understand it like that, then you understand if you're getting cheated or not. And that's kind of like what I see with the game.
Hey, Rodney.
Yeah.
A question for you regarding Angelo. Do you kind of look at him like an oracle?
Man, like, yeah, man, it's the oracle. And it's funny, like the day we met, I was deep into the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? So with Neo and all that, and
right.
It was, so when I meet Angelo, man, he's all blacked out with a leather coat on. So it's like it was Morpheus. Yeah, it's Morpheus.
That's exactly what he was wearing when I met him.
Yeah, man, that's Morpheus, man. So it's been like, I've been the one, like, man, we hear all the crazy stuff that I've been through, and it's crazy because I see I'm in both parallel worlds, right? Like I see it from the law enforcement. I'm behind the vehicle on that side. And then as I went through this process, I've been on both sides where they're against me and then back against, it's crazy. So it's a crazy circle that you kind of see. But yeah, that's pretty much what I see there.
And a lot of people are jumping on right now. They don't understand that you're a peace officer. And I truly can say and attest to that, because that's a terminology that's really more or less of a lie when you read it on the side of a cop car. In a lot of different respects, because they don't seek peace like they should, and they're certainly not serving the community like their car suggests they are, but you are. And I have a lot of respect for that. And Angelo, I have a ton of respect for your knowledge and your ability to think through things and write. Question for both of you guys. You come from different backgrounds. You share this common passion for justice. On my personal experience with you, how do your individual experiences, complement what you guys are doing together right now? Because I see you guys kind of like a team and a partnership, and now we're taking this knowledge that you have to a whole nother level. And for the record, I want you to answer that question, but for the record, knowing both of you guys and being in the foreclosure experience realm, Rodney, you've been in your house since 2008 with no payments.
No, 2009.
2009. Okay, so that's 14 years. That's a serious attesting to what you guys do together and that knowledge that Angelo shares with you and that you've grown from. How do you guys see this playing out between you two?
Well, if nothing else, me and Rodney's become really good friends, and I like Rodney, because of that fighting spirit, I don't really deal with a lot of people because I don't like to. I don't want to mislead them or disillusion them about what they're up against. Like you hear a lot of stuff on, "I'm gonna sue you," and they think you're gonna go into court and get a judgment and you living happily ever after. Like there's many components to this. You can sue, you have to sue, and all that. If you win, then you have to enforce it. So there's other steps that need to be done after that's completed for you to be able to collect. And then if they don't pay, then there's you have to do procedures to do that. So first and foremost, Rodney was he's very principled, and that's what I like. So that's what made me to go ahead and work with him or decide to do that. Because without that, if you don't have the stamina, and initially you'll think I don't know what I'm doing. Like, is he BSing me? What's going on, right? But as you learn, then you start seeing what I'm seeing. It's like, oh, okay, and then start. Once you get it, then things start to look different and perform different. So I was able to, when I first met Rodney, I hadn't been able to use this system I developed from all the things that I've done, which was bring the court out to the street, and so he was willing to try it. Initially we got off to a rocky start because he wasn't following through on what needed to be followed through. I developed the system from what I was going through, from having my first exposure to the legal system was being profiled by law enforcement. So I was like, I can't be doing as much as that. I know I wasn't doing anything, but to get stopped as much as I was, it shouldn't have been that much attention on me. So as I learned these things, I was like, oh, this is a process. On my first win, when I first started, I got my first win, and it was the way it was won that had me sold that all I need to do is focus on how this system works, what the procedures are, and that helped me develop this system and was able to share it with Rodney. And then once he started really implementing it fully, it started doing what it was designed to do. And that's really just basically make a record, a good record, and to expose who's coming at you to see, what who they really are. They'll tell on themselves by the responses. So that was the main thing that got me with Rodney, is just his tenacity and his principle attitude on and approach to things, just doing stuff right. So that's what it was for me.
That's a great answer. Rodney, what's your thoughts?
Just on what brought us, on my thoughts on Angelo, you saying?
Like, you guys have been, every time I talk to you, you guys are still like tag teaming and hanging out and learning from each other and growing. And it's like, how do you personally see this? Because we started talking again a few months ago, and from what I can tell, you have cornered the market on something that if everybody can learn, we can literally change the world. And I don't say that lightly. And I'm excited to be in the front of this with you guys and doing this. How has this affected you personally? And like I asked you, Rodney, the last time privately, are you tired of the fight at this point? Are you still in the fight? Is it getting fun? Are you past the stage of worry when you go into court? Or tell me, because I just watched you on YouTube video walk in front of LA council and drop the hammer against a department, and I was blown away. And so does that even stress you out at all?
Well, and that's the weird thing. So you have to find oneself. And so obviously you get scared about certain things, but this is a battle that I took on, and I knew it was a battle for the truth. Okay. So let's be wide open with everybody. I've been in foreclosure. My house foreclosed a year ago. in 2016. Or no, I'm sorry, June 16, 2022, but we're still here. And that's a process through the courts. And everything from 2009 was when I realized how the loan system works, or how the loans were done. And that's one of the things we're going to be breaking down for you guys. So once you understand that, then I decided one day I couldn't make a house payment. I said, I will not make a payment. Rodney will never make a payment on this, because I understand. And once you understand the transaction, that's a wrap. So then it's been a battle. It's been stressful. All that. You like, are you going to lose the house? Are you going to have the house? But once I understood it, I'm like one of those people. And they said, like Henry Ford and them were like this: you're going to get what you need when you get there. So when he told people to build the car, we're going to get it. And I always felt the truthfulness. If we stay with the fight, then that's what's going to help us. I think this goes all the way back to what I saw even in the service. People just have to understand. And then like, we have to stop this nonsense or whatever is going on. And if everybody understands, then you can kind of break it down. So I've put right now, my career is at risk, my housing, my career. So you lose all that stability or that mental, what you believe is a mental blanket already. Every single one of those, I'm facing possible termination again for the second time. Any second I could get notice of that. Any second, the house, always somebody coming by. You see what I'm saying? So when you deal with all these different things, but now you just have to think. Now, this is what I feel. I always projected what we're doing right here, because we're entering a real serious time in whatever. It's a lot going on. So you see that. And then when I saw COVID, that was the biggest thing right there. When I saw the COVID come in, and the reason why I'm facing that right now was when the COVID came in, the first thing that I started to look at was city charter contracts. And I knew I had a talk with the chief of police. And when they came in and they started talking about these shots, and the first thing he says, Rodney, it's totally unconstitutional. We could never force you guys to do that. That was in about April. Then August, all of a sudden, the council makes statements that they passed certain ordinances. So me and everybody's just following the ordinance. Everybody follow the leader. Nobody know what they're doing. And I'm standing here like, this stuff, it don't make no damn sense. Like, we're getting called, respond for a radio call for somebody that's not wearing a mask. And I'm like, okay, well, what the hell is the crime? like, okay, what do you want me to do about that? And then all of a sudden you see there's not really a crime there, but what they do is now all the businesses are under the health department, and then they follow the health department rules. So then they say, well, if you're in here without a mask, and we say the business will say, we don't want you without a mask. Now it's trespassing. So I was like, okay, so we don't really have anything, but they're trying to criminalize all this. So I knew something. I'm like, something's wrong here. So we started looking deep into the council files. We looked to see how things are implemented. And voila, guess what we see? All the stuff that they're telling us to do has never been implemented. So it's four of us in the department.
Meaning it's not an ordinance. It's not in any registry. It's not passed.
Yeah, the one of the ordinances they passed a dummy. Or not, I'm not necessarily going to say a dummy, but they passed an original ordinance, call that the COVID-19 ordinance, but they don't put nothing in there. Now, the real meat and potatoes that they claim have been adopted to the ordinance later, that's the bogus ones that's telling everybody what to do. We got 8 of them in our city. And then when I went to go hit these dudes, I'm like, look, this is what we got. These are fake. And then the first thing we went down to the city clerk, because any document that's been passed and certified, guess what? Is at the city clerk, just how your house is at the county recorder. We go to the city clerk, and then they like, hold on, we got to get the manager, we got to get this person, we'll call you back, the city attorney's gonna call you back. Now they're panicking. Now they don't have it on file. Now guess what? Y'all done fired about 1,000 firefighters, all the police, and we got forms that were never valid in the first place. Y'all fired everybody off these forms that never have been implemented. So see, everybody else is making, and all the attorneys are making constitutional arguments saying you violated the Constitution, and that's not the right argument. See, if they're firing people based on a document on their own city charter that has never been implemented, then I just stand back and shift the burden of proof to them. Now what y'all got? So guess what they did with me? So when I started reporting this, and then they started doing things against me, at one point saying I wasn't in compliance with certain forms, then all of a sudden they come to me one day and say, hey, Mr. Rouzan, you're going to be suspended without pay. And I'm like, hold on, man. You can't suspend a peace officer without pay, because under 3304 subsection B, it states, of the government code of California, it states a peace officer, we have to have a whole process before we can get fired. So like literally, like you see this and they say it's a paid vacation, right? So you go out here, you shoot everybody, do whatever. So all this craziness happens. You see it on the streets and they still getting paid. But me, because I'm not following an alleged document, they saying, well, we can send you home without no investigation and no pay. I was like, hold on, man, y'all can't do that. Because I know nothing in your ordinance can be in violation of state law or is null and void, right? That's the severability clause. So if that is correct, then what do we have? You see what I'm saying? So then when we start to wind this all the way back, the way they got rid of me, then they put me out for a psychological. See, when I kept complaining about this, then they ordered me for a psychological examination. I get cleared, and then later on, they put me back in the field for several days, then the chief overrides it, and then takes me back out the field again. Then we get the captain, the captain that already cleared me. There's a whole write-up on me saying I'm already been cleared, but then they put me out again. And then they keep trying to put me through all these investigations, the top city attorneys, the doctors, because they're trying to get me out on a psychological because I'm crazy. See, they call me crazy because I'm crazy because I figured out their system. You see what I'm saying? And then we're starting to find out that every single city did it the same way. That's how I knew, Kelby, it's like crazy. I was like, this stuff don't make no sense. Shutting down stores, doing this. So like one of the things that really resonated with me, I had read in this newspaper and it was the same thing. So when Biden was passing various rules, Angelo will break it down better later, but the legislative, all the mask mandates and things they're passing, right? So when they're passing this stuff, one of the things in order at the federal level, it has to go on a thing called the Federal Register. Well, so one of the mask mandates that he put out, and you look in the Federal Register, it never was in the Federal Register. In order for it to be law or enacted, it has to be in the Federal Register. That's a process. It's like for your house to be Kelby's house, it has to be recorded at the county. If it's not, It's not yours.
Right.
So this stuff is not recorded. And that's why. So I was like, oh, they're passing dummies. So see, what's the next dummy law I'm gonna pass? And everybody follows the leader. What, everybody has to stand on their head? Everybody has to pay. You know what I'm saying? Everybody pays me $1,000. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So if they can pass it like that, and then we don't even understand nothing that's going on. You see what I'm saying? We don't understand what's going on. The police are getting taken care of because they're taking care of us. We the fat dogs. So see, I just get more overtime. So they'll take the gun, they'll do whatever. I'm just following. I saw that. I never expected that. We had all these guys coming in, Bruzan, you a fighter, and 4 out of 500. So that's what you got.
That's still a pretty good number, honestly, when you take a look at the way this country was founded and how many people participated in the actual Civil War and all that stuff, or the Revolutionary War, excuse me. So question for both of you guys, and either one of you answer. How do you envision your future of this platform? Like, I know we're going to break away with foreclosure prevention, teaching people how to mitigate issues on their own home, unlawful detainer issues, different things like that. That's to me the thing people need the most, versus going to an attorney, spending 6 to 10 on a retainer, $2,000 a month, and then file a suit, bogus, bar card, wink, wink, judge, wink, wink, opposing counsel, and have the broker on their own staff contact them. I think it's time to sell your house before you lose your house. And you've been out all this money, and you ended up renting your own house, to the attorney. How do you guys vision this? Do you have any milestones you're aiming for with teaching the people, helping the people?
It's always been my thought that the more people that know, the less problems I'll have. So I try to put people in a position to, if you teach a person to fish, they'll feed themselves for a lifetime. So it's my hope that at least a small enough percentage. I don't think it'll ever be 100% or even 50%, but there are those that, you know, you can get a nice percentage of people that understand what's going on and implement it. You know, that's more people that can rely on each other or find each other and get some type of remedy or settlement or closure for their situation. So hopefully, you know, with this platform, you've been able to reach a little bit, a lot more people than I would be able to do on my own. You know, as I come out, because I don't, you know, I don't do this as a business or promoter or anything like that myself personally. It's more to provide a method that works, you know, and it's not that it's my method or well, this particular one is my method, but I drew from the system that's already, you know, it's already in place. I'm just able to use it out of court. I've seen the parallels, you know, so hopefully it'll spread with enough people, because all you really need, you know, is a small percentage to stand up and do something right to make a change. And if that's
Amen.
possible,
I
I'd like
agree.
to be a part of that. You know, my biggest thing that I draw on to keep myself reminded was when Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California, and they got rid of Governor Gray Davis. That was a recall. They did a recall. He he was talking about the thing that kicked it over the was it the straw that broke the camel's back, and he was going to triple the vehicle license fee, and
Yeah,
everybody lost their mind. And
I
next thing
did
you
too.
know, next thing you know, Schwarzenegger's in office. But it's the same thing, you know. If most people knew how their government worked or governments work, then it would be that simple. I mean, the process is not a simple process in itself, but that is the process. Like there's everything is built in. You know, it's not so much that the system is wrong or bad or corrupt in itself. It's those that are in charge of it. Those are the ones that are doing it. You know, because you have good people everywhere, just as bad everywhere. But it's just as simple as all the people that's out there protesting. How about you gather those signatures up and then you get it on the ballot for a recall for whoever and start removing them from office, and then the other ones will fall in line if they want to keep their jobs. Otherwise, you put new people in place that are qualified and that do know, and then that's the end of the problem. You know, but until then, you know, these are the type of things we'll go through on individual basis.
Oh, I love it. And for the record, we're trying to produce something on an inexpensive basis to help the massive onslaught of foreclosures that is about to take place when the market shifts. This is something that every single person in the nation is going to have to consider, whether for themselves or for a family member. And soon you're going to be notified of an ability to participate in a inexpensive subscription or a rental, where you can watch and learn and get counsel on the private side, and be able to administer a defense for your own position, where you're not spending all this money on attorneys. And there isn't a single, listen to me, there isn't a single attorney out there that I think has anywhere near the qualification, the moral structure, the fabric of knowledge that these two guys have in foreclosure prevention. And I think that one element of understanding how long Rodney himself has been in his own home is empirical evidence of that fact. And so, but getting beyond that, you know, the term expert, I don't like to pull for myself or anybody, but man, I'm excited that there's truly going to be a platform that is going to help the masses, and the ability for you guys that are listening to ask questions and get real answers in real time about a specific situation that you may be dealing with. So look forward to that information coming out. And gentlemen, we've been doing this now for about 50 minutes. what is your goal? Because we have talked for months on developing an enforcement opportunity. If you can, Angelo, if you can explain in a nutshell in a couple of minutes how people need to be thinking about things for themselves and why you're taking the approach of having them prove up a claim, which is really what everybody should be doing in every controversy. What makes what you do so special? Please take the floor for a couple minutes on that.
Okay. Well, because I use the American, to me, the American legal system is the way it's set up is very advantageous if you understand it. These are systems. It's not just one system. There are many systems, but the legal one for controversies and conflicts is an adversarial system. Like, that's a real system. I'm sure at one time or another, most people have heard of inquisitorial system from the Inquisition, right? That's a different system. America's under the adversarial system. And the main rule that I love is that the one that makes the claim has the burden of proof. So there's no need for me to talk about my status, to talk about anything until they have proven that they have a claim. And that begins from who they are. Soon as you speak, okay, well, who are you? Let's prove that first. So, and I like that part. I like to do that because that's I need accountability. Who do I get redress from a false claim or a targeting or what have you? I need to be able to pin this person or be able to identify this person for accountability purposes. So that's number one. Two, what are you talking about? You know, what's this have to do with? And what is your claim based on? You know, what facts do you have? Because a lot of things are done off of presumption. We get something in the mail, we presume it applies to us, or we presume that it comes from the addressor, you know, and we just go from there. But we need to be able to go from beginning to end and see what comes out of it. So I think the most effective thing that I like is just using that rule. And it's a required rule. That burden never changes throughout the controversy unless you do something, unless you make a claim and then you have to prove that. So I like to stay away from making claims until I have enough information to make a claim or take a position. And so that's you know what I want to be able to help establish or show, because the whole legal system is based off of logic, the science of logic, and logic is another system. It's an actual science. So you want to be able to use that science to the best of its ability. And the only way you can do that is if you know it and understand it. It's not difficult once you get it. You get the parameters. It is a little daunting at first, but once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Is there any situation where you would throw your position out there first, or is this really a product or a mindset that can help anybody? Like,
this is the mindset that can help anybody. I mean, it pertains to any situation. Peace officers can use it. Legislature members can use it. Regular people can use. Anybody that's engaged in a conflict, like war. The definition of war is conflict. Conflict is dispute, and that's what the courts are basically the place of last resort. That's what Rodney was saying earlier about making the demand before you go to court, or saying if you can settle it out of court. That's what it's for. It's called mitigation. There's even an affirmative defense for failure to mitigate your damages. And that's, but if you do that before court, one, you're preparing yourself for court in case you have to go by making a real good record. And two, if you need to go to court, most of your case is pretty much already together. Like it's ready to go. I don't have the word for it right now, but you're ready to go to court. So let's say a lot of people don't have trust for attorneys, but if you understand what's going on and you know what has to be done, then the attorney is not so bad in that you can know when he's going off course. You'll know when he's got it incorrect. No, he's BSing you. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's like worth his weight in gold to at least be able to do that. Like, because not everybody's strong on their feet. Not everybody can. You know, the whole system, the legal system, and the aesthetics of it is made for intimidation. You got the judge 4 feet off the ground. You got the the box. You have the bailiff with the armed bailiff in the room and stuff like that. You know, it's meant to intimidate, but you can't intimidate. Like, if you don't make a statement, you don't take a position, you just ask questions, then what are you doing to cause anger and discontent? Even that looks bad. Well, I just asked you a question. Well, like, what's the hostility for? It's tough to make that look legitimate. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
So that this is possible with
No,
everybody.
I've learned so much listening to you guys over the last 12 years. It's amazing. Exhausting the administrative process. The court, creating that court of record. I attributed that to you guys. I attribute that to you, Angelo, and for these are all things that we don't like to deal with, and from a large respect. And that next question I have for you, Rodney, is in that movie, The Matrix, when he just said, "I just want to go and eat my steak and live a normal life and forget everything." Do you ever feel that way with what you've had to go through to defend, or are you adamant with your position?
Okay. So I felt that way several times, and because this has cost me everything.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it's a trip because I got two brothers and we're all a couple years apart, literally, and they do the same thing. And they do pretty well for themselves. When you take this path or appear, that way. But this is the real truth. So when I see myself, I'm like the oddball out. And so sometimes
even with your own family.
Yeah. And it looks like that. But what I can tell you is, like Kelby, and we were just talking about over the past 12 years. One of the things that I like to do is I have to test everything. So if I want to test it, I have to believe it's going to work. I do training. So in training, I have to test it, and I keep my body in shape to a certain condition, and then I know it's going to work. So that's important to me. So like one of the things that we're doing here, and you can see, I got records of everything. So when you talk about foreclosure, we have an appellate brief. So you're going to see every single thing in play. We didn't necessarily win that one, but we're still here. And then you're going to see every single process that goes into play, what we did right, what we did wrong, what I did wrong. And I'll tell you something like this. Angelo can have the most perfection paperwork, but you got to stand on that paperwork because some of it's you. See, the judge is still going to slip things in there. And if you don't know how to protect the record and you don't know how to make the proper record, the proper objections, 100%. Then you're out. So we're going to show you, man, it's a whole bunch of mistakes. Where Angelo's trying to pull my hair out, me not putting in the work, everything. It's just like anything else, you got to put in the work. So I think those appellate briefs, it came out to 4 volumes. You're going to see every single opposition, the demurs, the MSJs, every single thing. I've dealt with, when you talk about dealing with families, and you ever had somebody where now you have a lot of the older heirs are dying, and now they're stealing money from the trust. So that's another big issue right now. Just as if somebody's taking something from you, do you know how to resolve this? Traffic tickets is another big one. Photo enforcements. We have a case study going right now down in Culver City, and this is going to be a fun. This one's getting fun.
This is a big one. It's a big one, man.
Yeah, but we already got them. They've already. We got them caught in conduct unbecoming of an officer and police misconduct right now as we speak. So we've already laid the foundation. So we're going to be doing a case study on that probably, or letting you know how that goes. Insurance companies coming up to you saying that they have a claim. They did this to a family member of mine, claiming that they had a claim of 2 separate ones, $16,000, and another was $11,000, and that's just from some leaky pipes. And through the administrative process, they come up and say, we have facts and you owe us this and all our facts show this. And I was able to pull the string out by just saying, okay, what are the facts? And the whole thing unraveled. Oh, we're so sorry. We apologize. And that's where it went. And they left us alone. So see, by you just knowing to ask the simple questions And then the person that they were asking the question to was an elderly. So do you know it's elder abuse to be making a false claim against somebody without any facts? Oh, they was like, oh, we're sorry, sir. Well, we apologize. And the claim went away. So I was laughing with Angelo. And then Angelo, so I'm over here on the internet. How old is elderly abuse in California? And you type that in, you're like, oh, okay, anybody over 60. Okay, no problem.
Wow.
And you start, and then so it gets kind of interesting when you start to learn these little things. So that's the other things I had. And this is how I knew it worked, Kelby. I went and sued the city, and I had them. But you have them. You have everything you need. I put together a masterpiece over 6-7 years. I handed it to this attorney. He's ready. He sees that he's watering at the mouth because I got everything you could possibly have. It's already. Remember, I told you we take court to the street, so I got everybody already answering. Here you go. Just file this. So we get all the way through court, and guess what? Guess why we lost? This is why we lose the summary judgment. Because the attorney, when you open up the case, you have to do a government claim. And when you file a government claim, one of your prerequisites to, like, if I want to sue the county, I have to open up a government tort claim first. The county you have to file this, and the county gets time to respond, and they give you a right to sue. Then you can sue. Well, he filed it, but you have to sue within 6 months after that, or right away you lose the case. So this guy didn't do this. He doesn't do that aspect of it. And then the other part, we could have still survived summary judgment, but then he fails all my affidavits and everything that we put together. He fails to insert it with his own affidavit saying, this is true and correct evidence from my client. Here you go. We get thrown out on that. But the thing that I saw in the summary judgment, there was like, Mr. Rouzan had everything there. It was perfect. But the judge says, I can't see it because the attorney didn't enter it right. So when I saw this, I knew my stuff was on point. I hired an idiot. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy part, I thought I needed an attorney. I'm telling the guy, I got correspondence back and forth with him, asking him about the government claim. And he's saying, oh, we don't need it. And I was like, okay, you're a professional. I guess.
It sounds like he sets you up. He did exactly what he was supposed to as an attorney. For people that don't know. We knew him from way back in the day. And then I found out he's done this to multiple people. I just think he's not a good attorney and don't know what he's doing. I don't think there was malice. I think he truly didn't understand what he was doing. And he was a little bit over his head. And it showed me I thought I needed these guys. And I was like, dang, I was better than he was. And the judge said it. I had everything I needed. Because once you get past that summary judgment, you're in the money with the city because they're going to settle. They normally don't go to trial. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So that's like one of the keys. These are different aspects. What you're going to see right here is over the last 12 years, I've had all these different scenarios. I don't want to just tell you a story. I want to show you what happened. It's like watching tape in a basketball game. So you're going to say, look, this is what happened when I went right. They're going to go left. You're going to see the way that when we start asking questions, and that's the other thing, as the king. So remember, asking as the king. So whenever anybody, think about this, the police officer walks up, driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. I've never seen that before, heard it that way.
So you come up and say, think about this, driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. And then what does he say, Kelby? What does he say, Kelby, Angelo? And then if I turn around and say, officer, why are you pulling me over? And then what does he say? Don't ask me no questions. I'm in charge. I'm as the king. I'm asking questions here. So the one asking the questions.
I am asking.
So, and I tell my buddy, see, he's been learning from me, and these are other police officers learning from me, and they learn the knowledge. They ain't even talk to Angelo that much, but I'm his understudy. And then when I teach it to him, when we would go on the hearings with the city, I would say, I don't give a damn what you got to say. I don't care what you have to say, because I know what you got to say. Only ask them questions, because we're here to make a record on them. See what I'm saying? And in the city all the time, well, you can't record us. Okay. Well, we just going to write down everything you say, and we're going to put a memorandum of conversation right when we get out the meeting. And that's better than the tape anyway. Right? So that's what I learned. Every single time I'm talking, I'm like, you can call me, I'm like Dr. Dre. I'm just making recordings. You see what I'm saying? Okay. The chief said this. Okay. And the chief said, okay, chief, what's the law? And the chief said this, and he don't care what the law is. Okay. And chief said this, and chief said that. Okay. And then I send it back. Wow. The chief said this, but the law says this. Now, what are you going to do? Kelby, that's why the job has had me out. I don't know what they're going to do with me. I've been on administrative leave since August of 2022.
Getting paid.
I'm on paid admin. I'm supposed to sit home.
dude, that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, there's nothing bad about it. You're in the perfect situation right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and for the record, these are off hours that we're working right now. I mean,
exactly. But yeah, they say I have to be on paid admin leave Monday through Friday, and so that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. So you just got to like what's going on here.
Yeah,
you really got to understand what's going on here, and then now you start to see it, and that's how I knew. I was like, they won't go past a certain point, and then they know it. That had all to do when we're going to the city and everywhere else. When you talk about that YouTube video, we took everything. We took the administrative process all the way up through the chain. So when I saw, okay, first thing we did, Kelby, we saw the forms was illegal. Then we went and gathered all our evidence like detectives. Angelo's like, grab this, grab that, grab this. We do public records requests. Now we get all our evidence. Then we start making our claim through the chain of command. Chain of command goes silent. We got a notice or not. Boom, boom, boom. We go up the chain. He don't respond. I use the chain of command all the way up. Then I got all the way to the chief. And then we're like, chief, we got a crime. These people committed a crime, and it's possibly the city attorney. So chief, and then he don't want to investigate it. So he doesn't even answer. So we take that, walk it up. Then we walk it up to the executives. They don't want to answer. Then they're trying to give us BS answers. We respond back. And then all of a sudden we're at the board of airport, or we're at the board. Okay.
And what do you do if the board doesn't respond? What do you do?
So then we go in and then we make a public record in their public meeting. And they was, and then we have recorded, and they're like, oh, and that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? So now we made a public record. Now they didn't respond. So from that board, now we're up to the city. We're up to all the city elected officials. And then we'll go into the city council's meeting and make a record too. So now you got 4 police officers reporting that we have a felony in the city, and the city's refusing to investigate it because the felony was committed by the city attorney, or that this is who we believe are the suspects. You see what I'm saying? So now they don't want to investigate themselves, and then they're attacking us for whistleblowing.
So yeah, super happy that we reconnected and got this going again and putting this out. Gentlemen, I think we're going to call it a day. Let's just understand that this is the introduction of Rodney and Angelo and bringing something to the world that really, I don't know if anybody else that has had the success that you guys have had, both on a personal and business side, where your jobs have been affected, your careers. I know much more that Angelo has told me about his background and what he's had to deal with. And this stuff, this knowledge is so worth the time to learn, especially with the coming onslaught and potential crashes and or inflationary period where people could be losing their houses left and right. But gentlemen, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being willing to make this information public. And guys, right now, as you're listening to this, text the word freedom to that number on the screen below. This is how we're going to notify you. What is happening currently on YT is our videos are getting an algorithm that's much less, and they're actually taking off hundreds of, if not thousands of people that have viewed our videos, and they don't want people to know the information that is being taught for whatever reason, and they're suppressing it. So do me a favor, go to HISadvocates.org, join for free, go to your phone, pick up and text the word freedom to 855-452-0499, and also download the His Advocates TV app. This is critical for us to get you the information, and all the information that we're going to put forth is going to be right there on your phone, right on that app. So when we put something out, we're going to do a drop, and it's going to come and it's going to say we're live right now, and you're going to have the opportunity to watch. And we're going to put out a full training and a full support scenario for people to have an opportunity to get in and ask personal, firsthand questions that will help them in whatever it is that they're going through. Angelo, any closing comments? Rodney?
Go ahead, Angelo. Oh, well, okay, maybe he's not there right now, but yeah, just in closing, I'm very, very happy, honored that we are even having this opportunity. I just think the time is right. Things happen in my life, and that's what made me want to link everybody back together and take a look at this. And I feel really, truly, with my experiences, with everything that's been happening to me, I truly feel that I'm really ready to just lead and show people what I've done. So now you can see what I've done. You can see the challenges. Now you know you're up against it. But I truly believe in it now because I can show you the results. Results speak for what it is. You don't have to, you see the paperwork for yourself. So I truly believe in this. So we're ready to go.
Thank you, Rodney. Anything from you, Angela? His mic has got to be off. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate, again, like and subscribe. Text the word freedom to 855-452-0499. We will see you very soon. Our first set and series of training is going to be on foreclosure. And even if you've already post foreclosure and you're still in the home and need help, we're going to be talking about the different elements of unlawful detainer in a way like you've never heard before. So enjoy. Rodney, Angelo, till next time. God bless, guys. See you.
Right.